Hello everybody, my name is Alejandro Gutierrez. I am an assistant teaching professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and I teach our engineering capstone design class. The purpose of this video is to show you a little bit of the work that we expect you to do as a judge in our Innovate to Grow symposium. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to sincerely thank you for agreeing to participate as a judge. This event wouldn't be possible without your support. Now, you should have received a sheet containing the judging instructions, and it should look something like this, what you're seeing right now on your screen. There are multiple judging instruction sheets because there are multiple programs that are under the Innovate to Grow symposium. And so yours may not look exactly the same as this one. This is only the one that I am using for the capstone class, but the other programs may adapt the format a little bit. Regardless of which judging sheet you get, you should have two things: a link that will look something like this, but may not look exactly like it, and a QR code. These two are equivalent, and they both will allow you to access our judging sheet. Now, it is important that you make sure that you are using the judging sheet that is appropriate for your program. The sheets are not interchangeable because they contain separate links that will take you to separate evaluation forms depending on the program that you're judging. So if you're in computer science, if you're judging the software engineering capstone projects, for example, that is a separate sheet that has a different link that is not the same as this one. So please make sure that you have the correct one. You shouldn't get more than one, but I am giving you this information just in case. Once you have your judging sheet, once you know you have the right one, all you have to do is either click on the link that we give you. If you have a PDF format, you can also just copy it and paste it in your browser. You can, if you have a physical piece of paper, you can just type this in your web browser, or if you have a physical piece of paper, you can pull out your phone or your tablet and point the camera of the phone at this QR code down here. All you have to do is point the camera. You don't have to take a picture of this QR code. If you point your camera, your phone will automatically read this QR code and a little link is going to pop up. All you have to do is tap on that link. Since I am on my computer right now, I am just going to click on the link, and this is what you're going to get in your web browser. This is the capstone engineering capstone judging form. The other programs are going to have a very similar judging form, but it's not going to be exactly the same. And all you have to do is go through each section and answer the questions. So when you the first question is, please write your full name. I am just going to put Alejandro Gutierrez. Then it's going to ask you, what is the number of the team you are judging? Every team in Innovate to Grow is identified with a number. Depending on the program, there's going to be different numbers. All teams have been instructed to give the number of their team to their judges at the beginning of the presentation. If, for whatever reason, your team doesn't display their number at the beginning of the presentation, please go ahead and ask them, because we are going to use those numbers to classify all of these results that we're going to get from you. Right now, I'm just going to put a random number, number 5, for example. Some teams have names, some teams do not. We ask you for the name of the team or the name of the project. This is optional. It's not mandatory. If you have it, you can put it here. If not, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to ignore that for now, and I'm going to click this button that says Next Section. Now, there are two general areas in which you are going to grade your team or judge your team. This is the first one, technical content. There's 4 different items in the rubric, 4 different questions that we are asking you about the team. The first one is, the design problem is concisely presented, including background, motivation, objectives, and constraints. What this means is, did the team explain to you, to the audience, all of these aspects? Did they tell you where did this project come from? Who is their client? Why is this a problem? What is the motivation? Why do they have to work on this? What were their goals? What were their objectives when they started at the beginning of the semester? What was available? What were the rules of the game? That's the constraints, right? What was possible? What was not possible? And why? And so please move this little dial that we have here to the appropriate number from 0 to 100. So 0 is you strongly disagree that the design problem was concisely presented with these characteristics. So if you totally disagree, just give them a 0. If you completely strongly agree, you give them 100. And if there's something in between, just move it somewhere in between. If for whatever reason the question doesn't apply to your case, you can just check that box that says not applicable and we will ignore whatever number. That shouldn't happen. Every item should be applicable to every team, but just in case, we've put that option there. The second question, the proposed solution to the design problem is fully described in a clear way, including the rationale behind it and a description of how it works. In other words, did they go over the details of their solution? How does it work? Why did they choose the materials that they chose? Why is it in that particular shape or form? Why did they design it that way? With what calculations did they do? Did they analyze the strength of the materials? Do they know how it's going to be powered? All of the details. Get into the nitty-gritty as much as possible, right? Again, from 0 to 100, how much do you agree? After that, there's a question about impact. The proposed solution is thoroughly analyzed to measure its performance, economic feasibility, and environmental impact. In other words, to what extent did this team consider the real world when they were designing their solution, right? Performance, does it actually work in the real world? Economic feasibility, can this be done with a reasonable budget in a reasonable amount of time? Environmental impact kind of explains itself. How much of a footprint will this design have on the environment? From 0 to 100, again, choose whatever it is you think is appropriate. And then finally, final recommendations are given concerning implementation of the proposed solution, maintenance, next steps, future investments, etc. Meaning, where should they go from here? Now that their client, their industry partner, whoever it is that posed the project to them, now that they have received these results, did the team provide also information and recommendations on what are the next steps? How can this be deployed in the real world? Again, choose from 0 to 100. And once you have answer to all of them, you can click on next section. If you don't answer to all of them, the survey will not let you move forward. So you either have to answer the question or check the not applicable box. If you don't do one of those two things, this button is not going to work for you. But since I answered all of them, I'm moving on to the second part, which is about communication. Again, there are 4 items here. The presentation materials are clear, concise, logically organized, and easy to understand. Pretty much self-explanatory. The presentation materials includes or refers to the slides that they provided. If they have a video, then you will judge the video. Pictures that they present, tables, charts, plots. If they have a demo, if they have some physical object that they pass around, again, all of that. Is that clear? Is it easy to understand? After that, did the presenters manage time effectively, dedicating enough time to each topic and transitioning smoothly between sections? Each team has a total amount of time allocated, and they shouldn't go beyond that time, of course, but they also shouldn't be done in just 5 minutes. They should have planned to present all of their work in detail within the allotted time. This includes, by the way, time for questions and answers. The third item, did the presenters speak clearly in terms of pace, in terms of volume, in terms of vocabulary? Did they engage the audience? Or were they just reading from the slides or something like that? Did they keep the attention focused on the problem at hand? In other words, how well did they communicate with you during the presentation? And finally, did the presenters demonstrate knowledge of the material? Did they respond articulately to questions? Can they persuade the audience of their conclusions and recommendations? Are these guys credible? Do you believe that the work that they did is indeed valuable work? Are their arguments and their explanations and their models and their equations and their results, is all of that believable? And you will judge this part most likely during the Q&A session at the end. All of these items, you respond from 0 to 100. You move to the next section. There's a box for comments. Any feedback that you want to leave the students, you can write there. This is optional. I'm not going to leave any feedback. And I'm going to move on to the final question, which is, there's going to be a winner per track. Of all the teams that you see, one is going to be picked the winner, and it is not going to be based on their grade. It's not going to be based on that judgment that you gave in the first few questions. It is going to be based exclusively on how much you rate them here. Give them from 1 to 5 stars. How well did they do overall? How much do you like them? How much would you like them to win the award for the best team in this program? So I'm going to give 5 stars here, and then I'm going to finish. And that's it. That is all you need to do to do your job as a judge, to do your job as a judge in the event. Or any item that is not part of this sheet should not be considered during your judging of the team. So things like, is this a big project or a small project? Is this a project that has a lot of budget, or is it something small and exploratory? That shouldn't matter. That shouldn't come into consideration. Is this a project in a type of industry that is very relevant right now, something new, something exciting, or is it some more like old school type of engineering? That shouldn't matter. We have all types of clients in all areas of industries of all sizes. We have big companies and small companies. The quality of the student work should not be related to those aspects, and we ask that you also not consider those aspects when you are being a judge. That is it. Again, thank you very much for participating as a judge in our symposium. We look forward to seeing you during Innovate to Grow, and we appreciate all the work that you do with us. Thank you.